did you do?
I ripped my pants. Oh, fuck's sake. This is part 2, episode 42 of the Propane Fitness Podcast. If you missed the first part, go back and watch it on YouTube, listen on iTunes, Android, Stitcher, and as always, you can get the show notes on the website propanefitness.com. So it was a lot of fun. Let's get into it.
Can you slide me?
I'll slide you across. Make sure we get both feet supported. Around the coffee. Oh. Down into the coffee. Okay, now deep breath. Clench.
And cough.
I'm just going to leave my finger up.
Thank you.
Where is the video of you doing a snatch grip deadlift pulling this stupid face? Is it on Instagram?
Far down on Instagram.
I've seen that
You
one.
can always.
Is that the one where you do the correction? Do you have a clapper?
What's that?
Well, that's you know when they do movies and they have a clapper
Oh
that comes down to sync the audio and the video.
Oh, is that what it's for?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
So,
so much sense.
all that the guy needs to do is just have the sound link up with that one, and then everything's in sync.
I thought that was really stupid.
I thought it was just like a nice thing to have.
No, that's exactly what I said.
You see, this is what you get from being on TV so much.
They've never used.
Well, let's do that. 3, 2, 1.
There you go. Now your audio will be in
Is
sync.
that the clapper?
It's genius.
The clapper.
Right.
I can't think straight with this fucking coffee.
That's okay.
Have you ever fantasised about changing your first name? If so, what to?
Good question.
Thank you.
So, I knew someone called Phyllis Cream, which is a pretty bad name.
Phyllis Cream.
Phyllis Cream. I think that would be quite a good name to change yourself to.
You change your name to Phyllis Cream.
Actually, you know what? I think I'm all right with Yusuf. People still struggle with it, even though it's the third most common Arab
Have you
name.
got your badge?
I haven't got it with me.
Yusuf's NHS badge says like Yusuf. Yusuf El Bloody or something, doesn't it? It's ridiculous.
Complete
misspelling.
butchering. In fact, I don't know if it even counts as a butchery.
Just not your name.
Just different name.
Someone, to get that name on that card, someone's looked at your name and thought, right,
I'm gonna have a
I
crack
need to-
at this. I'm gonna do some interpretive art on this name.
But
Terrible.
But what? Where does the error happen? That's what I cannot understand. It's the same when you compete, isn't it?
Mm.
There's no like copy and paste going on. It's like you load.
It's the processor. Like they've got it in text as well. They could copy and paste. That's the easiest and most systematic way to do it.
Chris, what do you change your first name to?
I want to be something cool, like
Cyberforce or something.
yeah.
Cyberforce
Williamson. You probably get
Long John Steel Rod or something like that.
I like that. A little bit piratey.
Yeah.
People meet you and they're like, "Is he pirate?"
Yeah, it would Long John Steel Rod would be an easy route into a porn career though.
Long
It would.
John Steel Rod.
Do you think they pick people based on their
Name.
christened name?
Yeah.
So
So
the
they are-
That's exactly what it is. Well, when have you ever seen a porn star that's got a boring name? Do you think Mandingo was christened Mandingo?
I suppose it's never Mark, is it?
No. Yeah.
Mark Smith.
Featuring Kevin. Sorry, Dad.
what
I
is
hope
your
it's not
porn name?
featuring Kevin.
You know, it's your pet's first pet's name and then your street name.
Your street name?
Yeah.
What?
So your first ever pet's name is your christening. Your
Jess.
and then and then your street name is the last name.
What's your street name?
Oh.
The
So
oh
Jess
right,
doesn't-
okay.
doesn't
So
really work.
like Jess Park Avenue.
No. I think you can take out the
It
avenue.
doesn't have much of a ring, does it? I would be Smudge Runnymede.
That's pretty.
That's
good.
kind of yeah.
I'm sorted then. What's yours?
Abdul Basit Anchorage doesn't work at all.
Abdul, you sneeze at the beginning.
Actually, in answer to that question about what would you change your first name to, there was an ongoing thing of a guy who set up a bank account under the name Inlando Ravano, and he was making hundreds of thousands. He was actually a tax collector.
There's stuff you put on cakes.
Yeah, and
Hold on.
so he was a tax collector,
But he wasn't making hundreds and thousands. He was making
hundreds of thousands.
Right.
Yeah, not yeah.
Hundreds
Right.
just making.
Sorry, it took me a while to get that one.
You agreed though.
And it was only when one of his accounts was manually reviewed for some kind of error that they realised that he was just changing the names of checks to Inland Revenue to Inlando Ravano and just pocketing the money. So probably that. I would just commit
Hold on.
serious tax fraud.
You change your name to.
Inlando
Ravano.
Ravano.
Okay.
Well, probably not, because I've just admitted that on a podcast now. So
Foiled your plan.
Because
Yeah.
they'll get you now. won't
Yeah.
they? They will definitely get you. I'm looking up more weird questions to ask you, sir.
well,
In the meantime,
I think that normal questions to ask Yusuf elicit the most
Always
weird
get a
answers.
good reaction.
I think that the more freedom that you get with your tasks in life, with what it is that you have to complete, with whether or not you have a structure to your day, the more freedom that you have, the more. Who's that?
there's an old man looking through the window. I think it's spooked Johnny.
For a minute, I was like, he looked like he was going to walk up to the edge and jump.
What?
That was-
Off that 3 foot.
That was the pattern.
Is he still there?
I just thought he's going
Is
to
he
walk.
still there?
He's going to walk there. He's
Is he still there?
He's
He's
going
gone.
to jump at the window.
So, right, before we get on to actually talking what we're talking about, next to our
22
office,
minutes in.
next it's going to be the longest podcast with the least content ever. Next to our office, there is a Thai massage parlour. And, you know, Thai massage parlours, you sort of hear the stories, but we were like, right, well, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And then a lot of the time, we'll be in this office at sort of 2 or 3 in the morning, waiting for... He's not come
is
back.
that why
has he?
the old man's here? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Right.
That's
right.
definitely why he's here. He's definitely here for the brass next door.
Right.
So we'll be in here at like 2 in the morning, and we'll be counting money or doing whatever we need to do in here. And the light will be on out to the windows outside, and their front door is next to our windows here. So the light will be pouring out, and we'll get guys. This happened twice now. Someone's come up and knocked on the and go and open the window, and you're like, hello, Arit mate, is this a Thai place? You go,
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
look at me. Look at me. Ask it again.
fucking no.
You could get some business out of that. You could charge.
Ah, it is. Darren, just fucking lube your hands up and get cracking with it.
Oh my god.
So yeah, and they'll be like, is this a Thai place? And you go, no, it's
That's someone offering to give you. You could name your price. You could say it's £100 for an hour.
You got to offer a service.
Yeah, I would give a guy a massage for £100. If I was working late in the office and someone knocked on the door being like,
So here we go. Like this is a conversation in and of itself. You give a man a massage late at night
well,
for £100.
for £100.
I'm not insured
For an hour?
That's a problem. I suppose he's not gonna try and claim.
There's no recourse if you knock him up, is there?
Well, how do you know? Like, because he came at 2 a.m, so
It's outside of operating hours, so he's liable for any
I see.
injuries.
fine. I'd make him sign a disclaimer.
That you would just knock up.
Just not just.
2 in the morning.
Give me a second. Sit down there. Quickly write up a
Listen.
handwritten
Anything that happens is not my fault. Promise? Question mark.
sign, date, £100.
Phyllis cream.
Yeah.
Phyllis Cream and Smudge Runnymede Limited.
So yeah, they knock, and then we send them next door. But that's 2 in the morning, and you're like, well, fucking people coming at 2 in the morning.
Why
They're
is
literally
someone? Yeah, just.
Well, it's because I'm
Good
fairly,
as sleep.
I'm fairly certain that they must do like late night Saturdays or something like that, where
Like
they've
a
got
special
they've
deal.
got the special. And then what they did, they expanded. So they had that one, which is like a pretty big unit. And then they expanded into that, and that's just a partition wall there. So
They can
when
hear us.
we're no, it's pretty well. Well, I've never heard them, and I'm going to guess that there's probably a lot to hear.
Maybe some noises.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
it's disturbing.
Well, so now the man's gone.
I miss him. If
You
I'm
miss him?
honest, I miss him.
Bring him back.
You know what happens? You know what else happens, which is fucking brilliant? Sometimes the girls go out there and they do hula hoop. The girls that work in the Thai massage parlour go out there
And just
and
do some hula
and
hoop.
do the hula hoop. But it's like sort of a pretty sort of thick hula hoop.
So is that lead generation or?
I don't know whether that's the same as one of those guys in America that's got the big sign that they can do tricks with, and they spin it and stuff like that. Yeah, like car wash this way. I don't know whether she's going like, look at my hip mobility. This could all be yours. Like
an arrow.
Yeah.
Grand Theft Auto style. then you have to beat her up and collect the money. That's terrible. What a horrible idea.
It's terrible. That's the first thing you thought of.
Yeah.
But you would give a man a massage at 2 in the morning for £100. If ever I need a massage, 2 in the morning, I know where I'm going.
Well, yeah.
Seth, mate.
£200.
Still is.
I'll be advising you to buy the tracking bundle for £14.95 during the massage. Maybe make £214.95 minus PayPal fee and operational costs.
I'm gonna need to go to the toilet again.
Me too.
God, coffee's really really happy.
You've got periods of time throughout the year when things get more busy. You've got the late nights, and then trying to make sure that you hit the weekly training volume throughout that. What about hitting your weekly calories? You always seem to be when I was doing your diet, if you went over or under, you always managed to bring things back to the weekly average calorie target each week.
I think that with regards to eating for me is probably where I fall off the most. I love food. I've got quite a sweet tooth, and it means that especially when I'm in a deficit and it gets late at night, your stomach's rumbling and you're like, I don't want to go to bed hungry. So I think that again with that, it's just preparation. I found that having Greek yogurt with a scoop of protein and some almonds and a couple of some blueberries mixed in, for me, although the caloric
No, just
what?
We're laughing at.
What's inside of your head? There's something.
That's a great question.
Yeah,
because I don't know what's funny.
Should we lobotomise him and see what's in there?
Just talk us through really slow.
What did you
step by
laugh?
step. What was funny?
I wouldn't be able to explain it. So just carry on.
The almonds, blueberries. What I was thinking was that sounds lovely. Yeah.
Fine.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. We'll say that it's that. We'll say that it's that.
What you were thinking was.
Yeah.
Come on.
I can't put it into words. I just found it funny.
I think put it into interpretive dance.
Okay, so humour is about the unexpected. It's about a certain setup and then the unexpected. Although actually, almonds and blueberries is not that unexpected.
I think it's not what I expected.
Okay, but you didn't laugh.
No,
You
well,
just
because
thought,
it isn't funny.
Chris,
Moving on.
carry on, because we could do this for an hour.
Almonds, blueberries. What flavour were? Chocolate.
No,
Vanilla.
I quite like
Toffee?
no.
Vanilla. No.
He's going to answer.
I'm gonna tell you.
Tell us.
It was the rhubarb and custard
Wow.
from My Protein is actually really good.
That's something that was unexpected.
Impact way, really good.
Really? I'm going to try that.
Really good.
Because I was disappointed by birthday cake.
Wait,
Terrible.
lemon cheesecake is good.
Okay.
Apple crumble is good, and rhubarb and custard also good.
Right.
So I buy chocolate. The most adventurous I've gone recently is white chocolate, which is
That's pretty adventurous.
Really average.
Oh.
He bought 5 kilos.
5 kilos of birthday cake.
It's a big commitment to it.
Did he now can't drink? Do you drink it?
I finished it eventually. It had hundreds and thousands in it to make it more festive.
Oh my god!
I got
And
5
a little party hat with every serving.
How much weight? How much weight was it?
That was 2.5 kilos. So
you got that already?
I got 5 kilos of peaches and cream, pina colada.
Why?
I just,
did you buy these? Did you pay for these?
When you go down the scroller, you're like, oh, peaches and cream, that sounds amazing. And the first scoop, you're like, and then like 5th scoop in, you're like, actually,
you fear your post-workout shake every day.
Yeah,
because you drink a lot of whey, don't you? Like you have more whey than most people.
More whey than food. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of his protein
Really?
intake is whey.
How much whey do you have every day?
Probably 70% of my protein intake is from whey.
Wow.
But I don't see a problem with that. It's very bioavailable, great amino acid profile, convenient.
It's not
cheap.
very satiating.
It's interesting that because there's the whole like Whole Foods camp that a few of the bodybuilding gyms that I've been to, a lot of the guys that are in there would use whey purely for post-workout, and outside of that, it's got to be real food, because maybe they think that the nutrient profile from actual chicken or actual beef or whatever it is somehow better for you. It's interesting that
I just don't see a basis in that. And whole food if that's a fluid term, that people would count milk as a whole food.
Yeah.
But this is defatted.
I think they're looking at chicken, beef, egg, are they? They're looking at
real
So-
foods. Yeah.
Okay,
like
so
single ingredient protein sources, I suppose, that don't include. So I know milk's
That aren't powdered.
yeah.
yeah, okay,
But
fine.
I suppose in the studies they look at it's to do with leucine content, isn't it?
So leucine
With whey.
content, protein synthesis, blood levels of amino acids. If you have a chicken breast and a scoop of whey and you look at someone's bloodstream, it's going to be very, you're not going to say, that's leucine from processed whey.
I suppose
not that special wholesome chicken leucine.
You would get a faster absorption from whey versus chicken breast.
Which in the case of protein is advantageous. In the case of carbs, maybe not so much. So if you were to have all of your carbs from dextrose, you're going to be wreaking a bit of havoc with your blood sugar.
And your day.
Falling asleep all the time.
So this is fun.
So
What about fats? Fast absorbing fats?
MCT.
So if you were to have whey, like say
Whey dextrose MCT shakes every day.
4 equally dosed shakes of whey, dextrose and MCT.
You could do worse than that. I mean,
They're all pretty good sources
so
of...
there's a few studies of replacing someone's fat with MCT. No other changes to the calories.
Doesn't it improve like depression and...
Yeah, MCT is pretty great actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, body composition improves.
Don't do that though.
Yeah, you'll...
Explosive consequences.
That's definitely true. Especially on an empty stomach. If you've ever had bulletproof coffee, you'll know.
You've had coconut oil with coffee, haven't you?
Yeah. I was in Thailand last month, and they have these coffees that are brewed with coconut water in,
yeah.
and that is it's a...
Because they have it in the... what is the place called? Where is Mount Everest?
Himalaya?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Tibet.
Okay. They have coconut
Is
coffee.
Everest in Tibet?
I feel like Tibet is at the base of Everest. Can we get confirmation?
I feel so out of my comfort zone
Me too.
with geography.
Let's go back to talking about satellite cells.
You could say, who is the king of England? And
And you would be like, David Cameron.
David Cameron.
Who thought you were going to say, as soon as you said David, I thought you were going to say David Hasselhoff then. I don't know why.
Who's the
Equally
emperor
likely
of
use
France?
mine. So,
Right.
in Tibet, and it's such a... There's another weird man. Such a long-winded way of me getting my point across, but they have yak butter tea. Yeah.
Okay. You wanted me to look up whether yak butter is... I mean,
I
I'm
just
sure
want to check where Tibet is.
I'm sure people don't mind.
Why are you looking at beads?
Tibet coconut. Looking at beads.
Tibetan Mastiff.
Okay.
No.
There we go. Tibet.
What were you...
Johnny almost spilled a cup of coffee there. A cup of water.
You don't look because they can... I suppose there'll be some people that can't see. Looking at me.
What were you going to say?
I don't know.
Next to India, Thailand.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. So,
Yeah.
so coconut oil,
Yeah.
coffee, MCT, whey,
Yeah.
birthday cake.
Yeah.
You have almonds in the yogurt.
Fuck me.
There it
Do you
is.
remember that? Do you remember when we said that?
Way back when.
This tangent is taking us. We could have gone to Tibet and back and found out if Everest's there.
Yeah.
So
Which
Basic-
would make me feel a lot better incidentally, but we'll continue.
This
Basically-
was originally about how Chris hits his average weekly calorie, wasn't it?
that feels like a lifetime ago when we started that conversation. Basically, what I found is that for me, through experience, I found where my weaknesses lay in terms of being able to hit my calories, in terms of being able to go to the gym and train, and trying to account for those and compensate meant that I was able to negate them at least a little bit. So I know that I get hungry in the night time, and that's when I'm going to cheat. I won't ever cheat during the day. I'm constantly got a fairly good available, got small meals, all packaged up, everything's ready and cooked. So that means I'm not tempted by going to the shop.
So that's
and going,
pretty good. So you do meal prep in advance?
Yes, that's the only way that if I don't meal prep for the whole day, I will break my diet.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
I know that you feel the same way about it. Got bubble in my throat. You hear it? You feel the same way about this because we both toyed with like a Sunday meal prep day, haven't we? But we never
the full week.
We never get around to it yet.
Yeah.
Meal prep is probably the one habit that I think would have a great return on both of our lives. And
do you guys not prep your meal?
No.
So you cook everything?
Well,
every day.
I just eat what I want to eat when I eat.
It's irrational because I know that it wouldn't actually take. It would save time in the long run.
It saves a lot of time.
Yeah.
If you said that I had to go and cook all 3 or 4 meals, you have to wash up after each use of your pots and pans. So that's an extra hour to 2 hours that you're chewing up just the cooking.
And it eliminates the guesswork and the actual the adherence factor as well. Like the clients that we have that do meal prep have them a successful diet. Yeah.
Because I was actually speaking to a client yesterday who was saying to me the way he tracks is on a Sunday he puts all his meals in for the week in advance, and then on Monday evening he looks back and goes, "Did I eat? Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah,
done."
No room for guesswork there.
And I was like, "Oh my god! Like, can we swap this round? Like, can you coach me?" And but the thoughts I have around it are, firstly, what would I pre-cook? Because I just aside.
But what are you going to cook later on? It's the same thing.
Just more of it.
But I think I just don't know. I'm literally like in the moment, like what I'll go buy something, or I'm hungry, I'll eat that.
I'm at one with the food.
Yeah, mine's like water when it comes to macros. But like, you have to cook things that hold okay in a Tupperware and aren't going to be awful.
Everything. Again,
scrambled egg on toast.
You may tell me, maybe not. You may tell me that this is something that I shouldn't be doing, but I don't refrigerate my Tupperware once it's been cooked. I just let it go from hot to ambient slowly throughout the day.
I think that's probably okay.
It's reheating it that I think the issue has been with. But I've had... So for instance, if I've got a really, really long day and I'll get up at 10 in the morning and my final meal that I have will be 4 a.m. when I finish working at a club and I get home, that food... I hate refrigerated food. Refrigerated rice and refrigerated pasta to me is just horrible.
So I think that's what I'm imagining.
It's just ambient rice and chicken and beef or whatever. What?
Ambient rice.
I'm imagining like clammy, cold
pasta. No, it's horrible.
With like sweaty chicken breast.
No.
When I think of pre-cooked meals, that's what I think of.
I think as well, if you I compensate with a little bit more like sauce or spicier sauce, which gives it a little bit more taste. Which is important, and I salt the fuck out of my pasta and my rice as well, which helps.
So you would have like a meat, rice or pasta typically.
That's probably a normal makeup, yeah. Right. Or replace the pasta with some sort of veg if I'm dialing back my carbs to just keep myself satisfied.
So the general pattern here, or the lesson to learn, I think, is that you've identified your leaks.
Yes.
Where the times that you overeat the most, the times that you don't find you're tempted, the times that you can't train, and you've nipped them in the bud. You've found some system.
Yeah. The summary for me really is that I cheat on a night time when I break my diet. Therefore, I backload most of my carbs so that I feel more satisfied on an evening time.
Because you're more hungry in the evening.
Yes.
Yep.
So I allow myself more food towards the end of the day. You would usually fast. Probably I'd get up, and if I'm training on a morning, potentially even train fasted, just because I'm not hungry on a morning. So I know that if I have a coffee and then aminos or whatever before I train, I get to the gym and then I'm out of the gym by 11 or something like that. Until 11:30 or 12, I can then eat, and that leaves me with whatever 3 or 4 meals left for the day, as opposed to having one before training that I didn't need and then having fewer left during the day. And then on a night time, I will leave myself sufficient calories that I can have something that doesn't completely ruin my diet, i.e. the protein and the Greek yogurt and the blueberries and the almonds. We're not going to lose it this time. We're not going to lose it. And that for me is enough to satisfy myself through sleep. Basically, I hate going to bed hungry, and I think a lot of people, when they do diet, find it really hard to sleep when they are very hungry. It's a distracting thing, and it stops you from having a good quality of sleep.
I think a lot of people, they slip into this problem where it gets to like 6 p.m. and they're hungry.
Yeah.
So they eat their last meal for the day.
Yeah.
Don't go to bed till 11.
Yeah.
And
it's a long time.
Starving.
And that's when you sat in the house and you look at your flatmate's Rocky bars and think, is he going to know? No, he's probably not going to know.
Like, will it matter that much if I just have?
Yeah. It's catastrophic thinking, because as soon as you've broken it once, that's it for the rest of the day. So that's how I've.
So you've made the decision as easy as possible when you come in. There's no sense of temptation. You've got the meal.
It's taking the discretion out of your hands, and the same thing goes again, coming back to why you have a coach. Because the discretion is out of your hands. How many reps do I need to do? Do I really need to train abs today? Well, actually, yeah, I do, because my routine says that I do train abs today, as opposed to it being a discretionary choice. And that, for me, especially when you're running your own business, if you're a student, if you're self-employed, even if you're not self-employed, if you've got any job or any task in your life that requires you to have...
But doesn't have your boss looking over your shoulder all the time.
Yeah, that is completely dictated to you. The second that you're given some discretion, you are given the choice of whether or not you're going to make a good or a bad decision. And the more that you can stack the deck in your favour and make it so that the bad decision is more difficult to make, the more likely you are to make the good decision. You don't need to positively reinforce the good decision. You need to negatively reinforce the bad decision.
Just make the bad decision a ball ache. And that, so I've done that, for example, with my phone. I've turned off all notifications and I've put all of the time-wasting apps on like the 5th page of apps, and they're in a folder, and you have to. And it's called time-wasting. So even then, you feel like you feel like a dick even opening it.
Let's waste some time.
Time wasting.
And that works so well, because you think like, oh, I'm just going to check like WhatsApp or Snapchat, and you think, actually no, like I don't need to. I'm not trying to meet someone, so yeah.
So I'm going to talk to you about that in a second, because I've recently done that and it's caused me some problems. But
right.
the idea of like increasing the cost of missing a meal or like missing your macros by you have your food with you. So if I don't eat that, then I've wasted it. Which is a waste of food, waste of money, waste of my time. I've got to deal with the minging Tupperware in the morning. That's something, when I worked in an office, I used to bring my lunch with me, and something that I think a lot of people resist because of the whole like if it fits your macros movement and what we've just said. I think a lot of people are like, whoa, I don't want to bring a Tupperware, like that's a step in the wrong direction. But I actually think, I imagine you still have a good number of meals in your week. I could be wrong. But where you're like eating with friends or you eat out, and that they aren't Tupperware there, obviously. Yeah. You don't go to a restaurant and bring a Tupperware. Like you're not like Ronnie Coleman style, no. Like 8 meals a day.
Yeah, no.
Turkey.
What?
Rice.
We'll have to reference that video.
We will.
But having meals that aren't social, like meals that are just there for function.
Yeah.
So like today I'm working, I'm not going to have much time.
Yeah. I
need to have this many calories during the day. I've prepped my meals.
For me, the working a lot means that you've got to be the most efficient way that you can do with your time. And that's, for me, prepping my food. I know for pretty much down to sort of minutes now what time I need to get up and cook in order to leave. And if I need to do something else, if I need to have a shower, then I can add on, 10 to 15 minutes for the shower. I know that it takes me from beginning until finishing cooking. I know it takes me 45 minutes to do my full day's set of food. So I need to wake up 45 minutes before I need to leave if I'm going to cook my food, if I need to have a shower, if I need to do whatever. And all of those things, setting yourself, for me personally, I have to set myself rules. Because if I don't set myself rules, there's too much discretion in my life. And this is kind of one of the main points that I'd like to get across, is that the more freedom that you have within your life, whether you're a student, whether you're self-employed, or whether you simply just have a lot of spare time, if you don't have a lot of dependencies and a lot of structure to your day, the onus is always going to fall to you. The decisions about whether or not you're going to have a good or a bad day in terms of productiveness is only ever going to fall to you. So you need to stack the deck in your favour. Also, if you don't have someone who's whipping you into shape, you are the only disciplinarian in your life. Specifically for us, I'm now company director for a number of different companies. There's not much accountability that I've got. If I wake up 3 hours late, there's no one there who's saying, "Oh, I can't believe you've been in work too late, Christopher. This is another warning." Like there isn't any warnings. There's only you. So it means that you're going to feel
your own barriers. Otherwise.
Absolutely, yeah. You need to make your own rules,
like Parkinson's law, where a task will expand to
the accounted time.
Yeah, the time that you've given it. So
here's a question. You have these, so I think people experience this on a micro level when it comes to like, I'm going to stick to my diet this week, or I'm going to train this week.
Yeah.
Those are rules.
Yes.
And I think people struggle to actually, when it comes to it, like on Sunday night, you're like, right, I'm done with this, I'm going to stick with this now. Gets to like Wednesday morning when they're meant to be training.
Yeah.
And they give in. So like, how do you ensure that you actually stick to your rules?
It's the exact same way that I would do stuff with work. Let's say that we have a huge task. We need to come up with a new brand for a big night that we're going to launch in September, for instance. That's a huge task that you want to do. That's a huge goal that you want to do. So you split it down into actionable tasks. What is the next step? The next step for me is it's on a night time. I know that I'm going to get up tomorrow. What is the next step? I need to get my chicken out to defrost, because if I haven't defrosted my chicken, I can't cook it in the morning, which means I'll break my diet. Because I'm going to go and I'm going to get a sandwich from the shop, or I'm going to go and I'm going to eat out, or whatever it might be. If I need to make sure that my Fitbit's charged for the morning, or I need to make sure that my heart monitor's charged for the morning because I'm going to go and do some cardio, or whatever it might be, that's not as crucial. But you know that if you get that bit done, when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be more like, oh, I've charged the fucking Fitbit now. Like, I might as well go. You know what I mean? It's making the little steps that are the cues for you to make sure that you're being productive. And for me, creating these rules and making sure that I stick to them as much as possible helps to force me towards productivity. So if I've got a long day ahead where I know that I'm going to be going out on the night time and I've got work on the night time, I'll just pack everything into a bag. So it means that I don't need to go back home. That's being as efficient as possible and trying to split.
Preparing for like the monkey brain that'll tell you to go to the shop and buy a sandwich when you're in the more rational state of thought, and you're making it when it's difficult.
Yes.
Like, to go back to my example, on Wednesday morning when it's hard to wake up and train before work, you've broken all of the obstacles
into its component parts.
Yeah, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, I can't be asked. Oh, hold on, my gym bag's in the car.
Yeah. I've got everything's done, everything's clean, I've already got everything packed and blah, blah, blah.
Like, what I need to do is wake up and get in the car and go. And so, you
stacking the deck in your favour and making the good choices as easy as possible, for me, is what helps to make my life really, really good. I'm the least disciplined person. I'm such a bad procrastinator. Like, every single assignment that I did at university over 2 degrees, including my final dissertation for my master's, was completed the night before with an overnighter. Dissertation for my master's was 7,000 words off 36 hours before it needed to be handed in, and a case of Red Bull got me through. I actually didn't trust myself to drive in to actually hand my dissertation in. I had to walk in because I wouldn't trust myself to drive. Wow. So I walked in to hand it in because I was so tired from the night before.
So that's so interesting to hear that you're saying I'm the least disciplined person, and a lot of people will look at you and be like, oh, you must be so disciplined. And
that's not the way it is at all.
Systems making the bad habit as difficult as possible to do.
Exactly. It's exactly how it is, because I think that if you're moderately disciplined, you probably need those rules less. Whereas for me, because I am so undisciplined, I have to compensate. I have to have rules for when I'm going to get up. I have rules on a night time because I know, for instance, if I use my phone for a long period on a night before I go to bed, I know I find it quite hard to get to sleep. So I have a sunlight lamp, and that's got a 10-minute timer on it to go from bright to dark. And once that's gone, I have to be off my phone, because if I stay on it for too long, I know that I'm going to do that. If I was disciplined, I wouldn't need the rule.
Yeah.
But that's the coach. That's the external coach saying, right, now time to put your phone down. And the same thing goes for work. If I get into work, the first thing that I do when I open my laptop up, I get into this office, the first thing I do, open it up and I get on my to-do list. And I look at the day's to-do list and I plan the to-do list out, and that has to be done before I'll do anything, before I check the emails, before I do anything else, because I know that will assist me. Now, unfortunately, one thing that is a little bit of a negative for this is the only way that you can develop these rules is by making the mistakes, because you then trialing what are the potential ways that I can mitigate these, because without going through breaking my diet 70 times and then without learning how long cooking takes and learning what is the best way, I have, like, this is the order in which I will cook the chicken. I know that I put the oil into the pan, heat the pan, boil the kettle. By the time the kettle's boiled, the oil's hot enough for me to cook the chicken. That goes in. Rice has been measured in the meantime as well. Rice can go in. In that time, I'll wash the Tupperware from yesterday. That Tupperware's then finished by the time the chicken's ready to be drained and put the sauce on. Everything, because that's what routine is. What's that quote? Is it from Aristotle? We are what we repeatedly do. Success, therefore, is the repetition of successful habit.
Yeah.
And that, for me, is a way for someone who has a turbulent life, that frequently is very late nights, very early mornings, lots of travelling. That is a way for me to try and make that as consistent as possible. And I think that gives you a good environment for you to be able to make progress in all areas of your life.
So you said something there of failing until the pain of failing pushes you to actually think, right, I'm going to build a system because I've had enough of this.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it is necessary to do that.
To get it wrong.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is as Propane is growing, what we're trying to do is build more systems in the business. And hearing you describe that sounds an awful lot like, if you were to sit any CEO down and say to him, describe to me how your product goes from production line to the customer. Yeah. They would be able to go like, it sits in this loading bay for this amount of time, and it gets moved to here, and it gets stamped by this person, and then moved by this person in here. Like, there'd be a step-by-step process without any questions. And hearing how you manage what time you wake up, your bedtime routine, you manage your diet, you're like, there is a clock that is going to stop me from being on my phone. Yeah. I wash this Tupperware while I'm preparing the chicken you are
a production line.
You could give somebody that template. If I was like, how do I be Chris for a day? You'd be like, here's a sheet, follow this.
Pretty much.
And I think that's where there's a move in the fitness industry away from discipline to flexibility. Mm-hmm. And I think when people try and live in flexibility, you end up in these situations where you're either 100% flexible and maybe training doesn't happen, or your entire day's intake from Oreos.
You train 3 times in one day and then not for the rest of the week.
Precisely, yeah.
But this comes back to the black and white thing.
Yeah.
This comes back to we're creatures of absolutes. And I think that, you guys, if it fits your lifestyle thing, when you very, very first coined that, I think was when we first started chatting, 5 years ago, something like that.
Long time, yeah.
And I think that if it fits your lifestyle is a fantastic way of putting forward having a flexible life that is balanced. But within that, you need to be able to assist yourself to make the right decisions consistently. And this might not work for everybody. People might have more discipline than I do. They may be able to just know that they are going to the gym, or that they are going to be able to, that with yourselves, that I'm just going to have time to cook. I'm not going to break my diet.
We're maybe lucky in that, but because we've gone too far on the if it fits your lifestyle side, the mistake we've made is we've never really explored meal prep as a consistent habit.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, so that's definitely something I'm going to take away from this chat. And just to wrap things up, by the way, just because I think we're running over. I've had enough. I need a wee, to be honest. That's the main reason. But some really good lessons here, which are periodize your year. Always think, what's the next step? What's the next action that I need to take? Identify your leaks, identify where your weaknesses are, whether that is discipline or what times that you're most likely to fall off the wagon. And then build a system to capture that and stop it from happening. To build flex into the plan if it doesn't go right, but at the same time make the bad habit such a hassle to do that it doesn't happen, and then you're turning yourself into a production line and eliminating the need for discipline rather than trying to fight using however much discipline you have, which is a finite resource. And at the end of the day, if you're literally at the end of the day, not figuratively,
damn cliches,
then you're going to be more fatigued, and your decision fatigue, you're going to be more likely to just take the easy route. So if the easy route is the correct route that you've built into a system,
I suppose it's discipline. Willpower is just a myth, isn't it? It's an idea that we think we use willpower and we think we have discipline, but actually it's just you have a number of decisions you can make in a day, and that your capacity to do that decreases the more decisions you make, and all you're doing is you're batching some decisions so that later, when it's harder, you don't have to make those choices.
I'm reading a book at the moment by Ian Tuhovsky, I think it is, and in this book, one of the main myths that he talks about is a really interesting one about discipline. And what he says is that the mistake people make is thinking that they need to be disciplined to go to the gym. They don't need to be disciplined to go to the gym. They just need to go to the gym. And they say that you get yourself into this really difficult situation where you worry about worrying, or I'm not disciplined, or I don't feel motivated today. I don't feel motivated to go to the gym. You don't need to be motivated to go to the gym. You just need to go. If you get in the car and you arrive at the gym, you are at the gym. Whether the motivation was there or not doesn't matter. You got there. And I think that we live in a world where this sort of rise and grind kind of, the gym is your life, and this
church.
The
gym is my church. The iron is the iron is my steeple, and it's like my body is the temple.
Splice that out and just have you going.
Church.
Well, it is my message tone.
Where?
That people believe that you need to be in this sort of insane beast mode on all the time. And you don't. You just need to go and lift some things and eat some things, because when you break everything down to its constituent parts, all that they are just individual actions. They're not. You cook the meal. You go to the gym and you lift the weights. You go to the gym and lift the weights, but you've thought about it for the last 3 days. You've visualized the workout. If you put the same reps and the same weights up that you did, is the workout any different? No, it's not.
Exactly.
All that you've done is you've
stressed yourself out about it.
Exactly.
And trying to maintain beast mode just on all the time. You get a heart attack by the time you're 30. Yeah. So, and actually that kind of relates to when you just need to go to the gym. Okay, you turn up in the gym. Going home is going to be more of a painful action than just doing your session.
Right. Like absolutely.
Arriving at the gym and being like, actually, I want to go home now. You're going to think, well, that's stupid.
That's ridiculous. I'm at the gym, yeah.
I mean, I chose my gym where I go. I have to drive to get from my house to work. I have to drive past the front door of the gym. So I have to, I'm like, I don't want to go. It's there. I'm going to go. And you go in, and then you're in, and then you say, you're in. Oh, fuck, right, I'll get the first set out of the way. Right, well, I've started the routine.
I'll just bench.
Yeah.
Or I'll just,
But you let the routine carry you through. And I said, there's a good quote by Jason Khalipa, CrossFit athlete, and he says, some days you're feeling it, some days not so much. Today was one of those not so much days, but I don't need to worry because tomorrow will be. And it's like one of those things where he's gone into the gym, he's done his workout, he's got everything that he needed to do done, and he didn't PR. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But tomorrow I'm going to come back and I'm going to try again. But it doesn't, if you say, well, today I don't feel like I'm going to fucking put up my max deadlift, I might as well not go at all. You go, well, no, that's not the way. You go in and you just follow the rules.
There's something that I heard on, do you need to go for a wee, by the way?
I need a wee as well.
Yeah.
I need a wee. Should we cross streams?
Bloody coffee, fine.
Are we just going to wind it?
Will you hold mine?
I want to hear Johnny's story.
Can you hold mine?
I'll hold yours.
Well, you could both go to the toilet and I'll just sit.
And you'll just tell your story and wrap up the podcast.
That would be the best way. That would be fantastic. Then we don't have to listen to it.
Okay, Johnny.
The man, incidentally, is back.
The man, right? Let's hear the story, and then because I'm sure the listeners want to go as well. They've been like, been listening to this for 3 hours.
There's loads of pressure, isn't there? There's a few things I want to say actually.
Okay.
Well, should we? Oh, okay.
You want to go for a wee?
I'm okay. I'll hold it.
Can I get some water to pour while I'm talking? So first thing, the thing I heard was from Iron Radio. Anyone listen to Iron Radio? It's ancient. Anyway, Iron Radio podcast, not as good as this one, but it's still a podcast. Talks about how the majority of your sessions in the gym are just punching the clock, so you don't need to think about it.
Just there.
Don't. You will.
You will.
Right. Punching the clock in it. You want to go? You're out.
Normally when you go punch the clock. No.
Punching the clock and you don't. It's also the Paul Carter from Lift Run Bang talks about 80-10-10. 80% of your sessions are uneventful. You'll never remember them. It's just you go in, you do the sets, you do the reps, done, home. 10% are awful. 10% are fantastic.
Yeah.
I think most people expect the 10% are fantastic to be 80%, and it's not. So yeah, I can't even remember why that was related or what that was in connection to, but that was thought number one. Okay. Thought number two is that for everything you're trying to do, for every positive change you're trying to make, people focus on that instead of focusing on the bad associated thing that is stopping them from doing it and stopping doing that thing. So with you trying to think of an example of the things that you said. So
getting up late, food, prepping, breaking my diet, going past the front door of the gym.
Yeah, none of them really work. So like
use a generic example.
Okay, so go I don't get enough sleep. Why? Because I don't go to bed on time. Why? Because I check my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move my phone in another room.
Yeah.
That's the habit.
Yeah.
The habit isn't I need to get to bed on time. The habit is I need
nice.
to move my phone out of the room. So it's then where I'm going to form a streak of days where I leave my phone downstairs and start in my bedroom.
And that habit's easier to do than...
Well, it's binary, isn't it? It's either did it or I didn't. You don't then have to stress about, well, what time...
It doesn't take effort. It's not like, I've got to carry this heavy phone
so
down.
Hard. It's just, right, phone's not in the bedroom anymore. And it's a similar thing you have with the clock that's telling you to... past that point, I'm not looking at my phone. Yeah. So the habit is then, I set my alarm.
It's taken out of your hands.
Yeah.
I think, like I say, for me... developing from being a student into being someone who's self-employed has meant that I've never had accountability to anyone. I've never had a boss really who's been telling me what to do. The same thing goes for uni. The number of students that you see around exam time or assessment period that are just living and breathing in the library is for exactly that same reason. My business partner was the guy who finished his assignments 1 week in advance,
right? And
I was the guy who did the all-nighter to finish it and walk to uni having had no sleep at 9 a.m. in the morning to go and hand it in on a Monday. And that, finding people that are like him, that are like Darren, is very rare. And I think that that's displayed by the fact of how many people do last minute cramming and how many people do last minute assignment handing ins. And I think that that also means that as humans, naturally, we want to put off the things that are difficult. It's the chimp brain argument, isn't it? And for me, like I say, the way to get out of that is to remove the level of discretion and to take it out of your hands. If you set some basic rules up in your life, you don't then need to make a choice. You just need
if this then that. And
yes.
Just rules.
Flexibility and choice aren't always the best thing.
But you can still structure flexibility into these rules.
Yeah.
If there's a day where I know that I'm going, let's say that I know I'm going away for the weekend, I don't need to cook my food. If I don't need to cook my food, I don't need to defrost the chicken, which means I haven't wasted any of the chicken.
Yes.
Fucking no chicken. And but these sort of things are, I guess, if you were constantly in flow in your life, you wouldn't need to do these because everything would just come as it needs to, and you would just be able to react accordingly. But for most of us who don't have like that sort of crazy sense of foresight,
Terminator brain.
Exactly. That you do need to just give yourself the best chance to be successful that you can.
Cool. Wise words, Chris. And speaking of flow.